The billionaire's daughter hadn't eaten in 2 weeks. Not since the night her mother died and her whole world fell apart. Every doctor failed, every caregiver tried, and her father was running out of hope. But the moment he walked into the dining room and saw the new maid gently feeding her, he froze in disbelief. It was the first bite the little girl had taken since the tragedy, and it was only the beginning of what this woman was about to change in their lives. Daniel Thompson stood in the doorway of his daughter's room, and for a moment he could not breathe. The early morning light came through the curtains, spreading across the quiet room, touching the toys that had not been played with for months, touching the photographs on the wall, touching the little girl who sat on the floor with her knees pulled tight to her chest. 3-year-old Mia looked smaller than ever, like a shadow of the child she used to be. The soft pajamas she wore hung loosely on her tiny frame, and her dark hair covered half her face as she stared at one spot on the wall. Daniel watched her, his hands shaking, his heart heavy. It had been 2 weeks since she stopped eating. 2 weeks since she pushed away every tray, every bite, every spoon. 2 weeks since she turned her face from him whenever he tried to feed her. Before that, she had grown quiet, then still, then empty. After Emma's death, something inside Mia broke, and Daniel had no idea how to fix it. He owned companies, he solved problems every day. But this was something money could not touch. He whispered her name gently. Mia. She did not look at him, she did not blink. She just stared at the same small spot on the wall, like she was waiting for it to open and take her somewhere else. He swallowed hard, stepped inside, and knelt down near her. His voice shook. "Baby, please, talk to me, please." She did not speak. He felt something sharp twist inside his chest, and he reached out a hand, but he stopped halfway. He did not want to scare her. He did not want to push too hard. His fingers trembled in the air, then slowly dropped to his side. He stood up again, helplessness washing over him like cold water. He walked out of the room quietly and closed the door behind him. His steps were heavy as he moved down the hallway. Every part of the penthouse felt too quiet, too cold, too big. The house used to be full of laughter, full of music, full of Emma's voice singing while she cooked, full of Mia running from room to room with her tiny feet. Now the silence sat like a blanket over everything. Downstairs, Mrs. Green waited in the kitchen. She was older, gentle, and had been with the family since before Mia was born. She held a breakfast tray in her hands. The eggs were warm, the toast soft, the fruit sliced perfectly, but her eyes told Daniel the truth before he asked. "She still did not eat," Mrs. Green said softly, her voice trembling. Daniel rubbed his forehead. He felt so tired, so defeated. "I do not know what else to do." "We have tried everything," Mrs. Green whispered. "Doctors, child specialists, feeding programs. Nothing works because she is not refusing food, she is refusing life." Her words hit him like a blow. He turned away, gripping the counter to steady himself. Emma had been gone for 6 months, taken by a sudden car accident that tore their world apart in one silent moment. Daniel had tried to stay strong, tried to hold everything together, but he had fallen too. He hid his grief behind work, behind long hours, behind closed doors. He thought he was protecting Mia by being strong, but now he saw the truth. She thought he disappeared. The doorbell rang quietly. Mrs. Green looked up. "That must be the new maid." Daniel closed his eyes for a moment, then nodded. He had barely paid attention when he approved the hire. He just needed extra hands, someone to help clean, someone to take pressure off Mrs. Green. He did not think anything would change. Mrs. Green walked to the door and opened it. A young woman stood there, holding a small bag. She was dressed simply, with tired but kind eyes. Her dark hair was pulled back neatly, and though she tried to smile, Daniel could see something behind her eyes. Something familiar, something like pain she had carried for a long time. "You must be Maria," Mrs. Green said warmly. "Yes, ma'am," Maria replied softly. "Thank you for having me." Daniel turned slightly but did not speak. He only nodded once, then began to walk away. Maria looked around the beautiful penthouse, the tall windows, the expensive furniture, the quiet halls. She came from South Seattle, a place where people worked 2 or 3 jobs just to stay afloat, where noise filled every room, where laughter and shouting mixed together. Here, everything felt frozen, like time had stopped. Mrs. Green guided her into the kitchen. "We start early here," she explained. "Breakfast for the little girl comes first." Maria nodded and washed her hands. She began chopping fruit, the knife tapping softly against the board. As she worked, she noticed the untouched breakfast tray sitting near the sink. The eggs were cold, the toast dry, the fruit untouched. Her hands paused for a moment. "Is everything all right with the child, ma'am?" she asked gently. Mrs. Green sighed deeply. "Her name is Mia. She has not eaten in 2 weeks." Maria froze. 2 weeks, she whispered. Mrs. Green nodded. "Her mother passed away 6 months ago, and she has not been the same since." Maria lowered her head. When she was 7, her own mother died. She remembered the hollow feeling, the hunger that was not hunger, the desire to disappear. She remembered pushing away food, not because she hated it, but because she wanted the pain to stop. Downstairs footsteps echoed through the hall. Daniel entered the kitchen. His shoulders were tense, his face tired, his eyes empty. Maria turned to greet him. "Good morning, sir." He looked at her like he barely saw her. "You are the new maid." "Yes, sir. My name is Maria." He nodded once, then looked toward the window. "How long do you think you will last here?" Maria felt the question press into her like something cold. She understood he was not being cruel. He was defeated, lost, worn out. She spoke quietly. "I will stay as long as she needs me." For the first time, Daniel looked fully at her. His eyes softened for just a moment, then he nodded again and walked away. Maria watched him leave, then looked at the untouched breakfast tray. Her heart tightened. She could feel the heaviness in this house, the quiet sorrow in every corner. She whispered under her breath, a small prayer she had said many times in her life. "God, if you brought me here for a reason, please help me understand it." The kitchen fell silent again. Outside, the sky over Seattle was turning gray, and the morning light slowly filled the high rooms of the penthouse. Somewhere upstairs, a small girl sat alone with her grief, and downstairs, a young maid stood with a quiet past of her own, unaware that her presence would begin the first small change in a story that had been stuck in sadness for too long. Maria looked toward the stairs. She did not know when she would be invited up. She did not know if Mia would speak to her. But something inside her whispered that the child's silence was not anger, it was pain. And pain, Maria understood well. She picked up a cloth and began wiping the counter slowly, thinking of the little girl upstairs, thinking of her own mother, thinking of the day she stopped eating at 7 years old, and the grandmother who saved her by simply sitting beside her. Some pain does not need answers, Maria thought. It just needs someone to sit in it with you. She did not know it yet, but she would soon be the person who would sit in Mia's silence, someone who would reach into the quiet and pull her gently back into the world. A new day had begun, and the first thread of hope had quietly entered the Thompson home. The next morning in the Thompson home began with the same cold silence that had filled it for months. The sun rose slowly over Seattle, sending soft gray light through the tall windows. Maria came in before sunrise, just as she had promised. She walked through the quiet kitchen, placed her small bag down, and stood still for a moment, letting the weight of the house settle around her. The air felt heavy, like sadness lived in the walls. Mrs. Green came in a few minutes later, tying her apron as she entered. "You are here early," she said softly. Maria nodded. "I could not sleep, ma'am." Mrs. Green picked up the breakfast tray from the day before, the untouched food still sitting on the plates. She sighed quietly, her face filled with worry. "I am going to try again," she whispered, though her voice had no hope left in it. Before she even finished speaking, Daniel's footsteps echoed down the hall. He walked into the kitchen wearing the same tired expression, the same wrinkled suit, the same unshaven face. He looked as if time had not moved for him at all. He poured himself a cup of coffee with a shaking hand and stared at the dark liquid without drinking it. "Good morning, sir," Maria said gently. He glanced at her, then at the cold breakfast tray, then back at his coffee. "Morning," he muttered. His voice sounded weak, like it had been breaking for a long time. He leaned against the counter, eyes empty. Maria watched him quietly. She did not speak. She could feel the storm inside him, the exhaustion, the fear. When he finally looked at her, she held his gaze. "I do not know what else to do," he said in a tired voice. "Every doctor says the same thing. She is physically fine. She just will not eat." Maria nodded slowly. "Sir, may I ask you something?" He blinked, surprised. "What is it?" "When her mother died, what changed for Mia?" Daniel's throat tightened. He set his cup down and rubbed his eyes. "Everything," he whispered. "She stopped talking, she stopped playing, she stopped smiling. One day, she looked at me like she did not know me anymore, and then she just slowly pulled away from the world." Maria let his words settle. "You were hurting too, sir." He stared at her. "What do you mean?" "You lost your wife. You were grieving, and grief sometimes makes people disappear inside themselves, even when they are standing right in front of others." Daniel inhaled sharply. "I was working, trying to keep the house running, trying to be strong for her." "Sometimes being strong looks like being far away," Maria said gently. He froze, her words hitting him deeper than he expected. When he did not respond, she looked at the untouched tray again. "Sir, I know I am new, and I know I do not understand everything in this home, but she is not refusing food because she hates food. She is refusing it because she is hurting." Daniel pressed his fingers into his forehead. I know she is hurting. But how do I reach her? How do I help her when she will not look at me?" "Sometimes you do not help by fixing," Maria whispered. "Sometimes you help by sitting with them until they feel safe to come back." Her words made his breath catch. He looked at her with tired eyes, and for the first time since she arrived, he looked like a man who wanted to believe someone could help him. Before he could answer, Mrs. Green returned with the tray. She shook her head softly. Still nothing. Daniel closed his eyes. His shoulders dropped. He looked like a father slowly losing hope. Maria wiped her hands on a towel. "May I take the tray up next time?" Mrs. Green hesitated. "I do not want you to get in trouble, Mr. Thompson is very protective of Mia. He does not like anyone doing what he did not approve." Maria nodded. "I understand. But I would still like to try." Daniel turned toward her, surprised again. "You want to take it up to her?" "Yes, sir." "Why?" "She does not talk to anyone. She barely talks to me." Maria folded her hands in front of her. "Sir, when I was 7, my mother died. I did not eat for days. I did not want to live. I pushed away everyone, even my grandmother. But she did not leave me. She sat with me every day, even when I did not speak. Her presence saved me." Daniel stared at her, stunned. "You think it could help Mia?" "I do not know, sir. But I believe being present means something. Even if food does not." The kitchen fell silent again. Outside, soft rain began to fall, tapping gently against the windows. Daniel finally nodded once, slow, unsure, but hopeful, in a way he had not felt in months. "Try," he whispered. Maria took a deep breath. "Thank you, sir." When the next tray was ready, Mrs. Green hesitated again, then handed it to her. Breakfast was simple, cut neatly, warm, but Maria could already tell it would remain untouched if nothing changed inside Mia's heart. Maria carried the tray up the stairs. Her steps were slow, careful. At the top of the stairs, the hallway stretched out, with framed pictures of Mia, pictures of Emma holding her, pictures where laughter once lived. Maria paused at one frame in particular, a picture of Daniel and Emma holding Mia between them. They looked like a family filled with love. Now, only 2 of them remained. She reached Mia's door. It was slightly open. She knocked softly. "Mia, it is Maria. I brought your breakfast." Silence answered her. Maria pushed the door gently. Mia sat in the same spot, knees close to her chest, eyes staring blankly at the wall. She looked like she was holding her breath, like any movement might break her into pieces. Maria placed the tray on the dresser quietly. She did not bring it close to Mia. She did not push it in front of her. She did not speak about food at all. Instead, she pulled a small chair closer, but not too close, and sat down slowly. For a long time, she said nothing. She simply breathed in the same room as Mia. She let the silence settle around them. She let Mia feel that she was not alone, and that no one was going to force her to do anything. Minutes passed slowly. The rain outside grew heavier, and the house felt even quieter. Finally, Maria spoke, her voice soft. "Mia, I want you to know something. You do not have to eat if you do not want to. I will not make you." Mia's eyelashes fluttered, just a little. Maria's voice remained calm. "When I was a little girl, I stopped eating too. My mother died, and I thought if I went to sleep without food, maybe I would see her again." Mia's eyes shifted, barely, but they shifted. Maria nodded gently, even though Mia was not looking at her. "I missed her so much that food hurt, life hurt, breathing hurt. I felt like the world had left me behind." A tiny tear gathered at the corner of Mia's eye. Maria continued. "But my grandmother stayed with me every single day. She told me it was okay to feel hurt. She told me it was okay to miss my mother. She did not try to fix me. She just loved me until the pain softened enough for me to stand again." Mia slowly turned her head, just slightly, just enough that Maria could see her faint, trembling expression. Maria whispered, "I am here for you, Mia. If you do not want to talk, I will sit with you. If you do not want to eat, I will still sit with you. You are not alone." Mia's tiny fingers curled slowly, as if grasping for something she could not name. Downstairs, Daniel stood halfway up the staircase, listening. He had followed quietly, afraid, desperate, unsure. When he heard Maria's words, something inside him cracked. A tear slid down his cheek, then another. He realized he had not said those words to his daughter since Emma died. He had not told her she was not alone. He had not shown her he was still there. He had been grieving too loudly inside himself to see the child grieving right in front of him. Maria stayed with Mia until the room grew dim with evening light. She did not rush. She did not expect anything. She simply stayed. And though Mia did not eat, something small had shifted. A wall had cracked. A door had opened just an inch. When Maria left the room quietly, Daniel stepped back into the shadows so she would not know he had been listening. He placed his hand over his mouth and closed his eyes, feeling both shame and relief. For the first time in a long time, he felt a small piece of hope. It was fragile, but it was real. Down in the kitchen, Maria placed the untouched breakfast tray on the counter. Mrs. Green looked at her with sad eyes. "It is all right," Maria whispered. "Today was not the day. But maybe tomorrow will be different." Mrs. Green nodded slowly. And as the rain continued to fall over Seattle and the lights inside the Thompson home glowed softly with a delicate spark in the air, and something the home had not felt in months, hope. Maria came into the kitchen early the next morning, and she already knew today could not be like the others. Mia had listened yesterday. She had moved. She had spoken. Something had opened inside that little girl, and Maria felt it in her heart. She prayed this morning would carry that same small light. Mrs. Green handed her another untouched tray from upstairs. She shook her head sadly. "I tried again," she whispered. She would not touch anything. Maria looked at the food for a few seconds, then placed it gently on the counter. She took a breath. "Mrs. Green," she said softly, "I would like to make something different." Mrs. Green frowned. "Different how?" Maria reached into the refrigerator and pulled out white bread, a small pack of cheese, and a stick of butter. Mrs. Green watched her closely, confused. "Grilled cheese," Maria said quietly. "Simple food, warm food, something that feels safe. My grandmother made this for me when I stopped eating. It helped me." Mrs. Green said nothing at first, then finally nodded. Mia used to love that before her mother passed. Maria warmed the pan. The butter began to melt, filling the kitchen with a soft smell. She placed the bread down, added the cheese, and lightly pressed the sandwich. Mrs. Green watched her with quiet hope, the kind that grows slowly after months of fear. Daniel walked in suddenly, dressed for his morning run. His eyes went straight to the stove. "What is that?" Maria did not turn around right away. "Breakfast, sir." "That is not what the doctors planned," Daniel said sharply. Maria stayed calm. "Sir, she is not eating anything on the plan. We are losing nothing by trying something she remembers." Daniel ran a hand through his hair. His voice shook. "If this fails, I cannot keep you on staff." Maria turned off the stove and faced him. "And if it works, sir?" He opened his mouth, then closed it again. His eyes softened only for a second. He nodded once and stepped back. Maria cut the grilled cheese into small triangles and placed them neatly on a plate. No decoration, no pressure, nothing fancy. Just food. She carried the plate toward the stairs. Her heart beat fast, but she whispered a small prayer inside. "Please, God, help her come back." She knocked at Mia's door. "Mia, it is Maria." Mia did not answer, but she did not turn away either. She sat on the floor, her knees to her chest, her face pale. Maria placed the plate on the ground between them and sat down gently. She did not speak about the food. She did not push it toward her. She let it sit. Maria picked up one triangle and took a small bite. Mia's eyes moved just enough for Maria to see. She had noticed. "My grandmother used to make this for me," Maria said softly. "She made it when my heart hurt too much to eat anything else." Mia stared at the plate. Her fingers moved slightly. "She told me grilled cheese tastes better when you share it with someone you trust," Maria added. Mia blinked, and tears formed immediately. "Mommy made that," Mia whispered. "She made that on Sundays." Maria felt her throat tighten. Then she had very good taste. Mia slowly lifted her hand but pulled it back. Maria did not rush her. Mia's voice shook. "If I eat it, will I forget her?" Maria leaned forward carefully. "No, baby. Eating does not make memories go away. Sometimes it helps you remember the warm parts." Mia's lips trembled. "Promise?" she whispered. "I promise." Mia reached again, slower this time. Her small hand wrapped around the sandwich. She took a tiny bite. She chewed once, then covered her face with her hands and began to cry. Maria moved gently and held her. Mia cried into her chest, shaking like she had held her pain for far too long. "I miss her," Mia sobbed. "I miss Mommy so much." Maria held her close. "I know, baby. I know. It hurts. You loved her so much." In the hallway, Daniel stood frozen. He had come upstairs without making a sound. When he saw his daughter in Maria's arms, crying, eating, breaking open at last, his knees buckled, and he covered his mouth with both hands. Tears poured down his face. Mia looked up and saw him. "Daddy." Daniel rushed forward and fell beside them. "I am here, sweetheart. Daddy is here." She reached for him, still holding the sandwich. He took her tiny hand and kissed it over and over. "I am eating, Daddy," she whispered. "Like Mommy wanted." Daniel nodded, crying too hard to speak. Mia took another bite, then another. And with each bite, the weight on Daniel's heart lifted just a little. Later, when Mia was calm, Daniel carried her to her bed. Maria sat beside them, watching quietly. Mia looked at her with soft eyes. "Can we eat this every Sunday?" Maria smiled. "Yes, baby," Daniel whispered. "Every Sunday, sweetheart." For a moment, the room felt warm again. Then Mia spoke in a voice so small it barely reached their ears. "Miss Maria." "Yes, baby." "Why did everyone try to make me better when I did not want to be better?" Maria froze. Daniel turned from the window, confused and afraid. "What do you mean, Mia?" he asked. Mia stared at her hands. "I wanted to go to Mommy," Grandma said. "Mommy is in heaven. I thought if I stopped eating, I would go there too." Daniel's face broke into tears. His whole body shook. Mia continued, her small voice cracking. "My tummy hurt, my head hurt, but I kept trying. I thought maybe if I was quiet and did not eat, I would see her again." Daniel grabbed her hands. "Baby, why did you not tell me?" Mia looked at him, her eyes full of painful truth. "Because you were always sad, Daddy, and when you came home, you looked at me like I made you sadder." Daniel pressed his forehead into her hand. "No, sweetheart. No, I was hurting. I did not know how to help you. I thought working more would keep us safe. I did not know you felt alone." "You stopped reading to me," Mia said. "You stopped holding me. You stopped being here." Daniel cried openly, something he had not done in years. "I am so sorry. I never stopped loving you. I just did not know how to breathe after Mommy died." Mia touched his cheek. "Are you going to leave again?" Daniel shook his head. Never. I promise. I will stay with you. Every day, every night. You are not alone. Maria wiped her eyes and spoke softly. Mia, your mother wants you here. She wants you to live, to laugh, to grow, to be happy. She wants you to stay in this world. She would not want you to follow her yet. Mia nodded slowly. The tears finally stopped. She fell asleep soon after, holding Daniel's hand. Downstairs, when Daniel came to the kitchen, he found Maria cleaning quietly. Maria, he said softly. She looked up. How did you know what she needed? Maria lowered her eyes. Because I was her once. I needed someone to sit with me in my pain. Someone did that for me. I only did the same for her. Daniel stepped closer. Maria, you did not just help her. You helped me. I thought I lost her. I thought she did not want me anymore. Maria shook her head. She never stopped wanting you, sir. She was only hurting, and hurt can make even a child hide. Daniel stared at her for a long moment. His voice was quiet. You brought my daughter back. Maria shook her head again. She chose to come back. Daniel's voice softened. But she only chose because you showed her she was not alone. There was a silence between them, but it was warm now, not empty. In the weeks that followed, Mia ate every day. She smiled again. She laughed again. She asked for stories again. Daniel changed too. He spent time with her. He stayed home more. He read to her every night. They healed together, slowly, gently, one day at a time. Every Sunday, the three of them made grilled cheese in the kitchen, and Mia said it tasted like love. One evening, after Mia went to bed, Daniel walked into the kitchen where Maria was wiping the table. Maria, he said softly. She looked up. Yes, sir. His eyes were full of emotion. I want you to know something. You came here as a maid, but you became the person who saved my family. You brought peace back into this home, and I care for you more than I can explain. Maria felt her heart beat fast. Sir, I care for you too. He took a slow breath. I am falling in love with you, Maria. Her eyes filled with tears, but they were gentle tears. She stepped closer. I feel the same. He smiled. A real smile, the first one in a very long time. Months later, they married in a small ceremony. Mia walked between them as the flower girl, smiling like her heart had finally found its home. And every Sunday, they still made grilled cheese, the food that brought life back into their home. The Thompson family was whole again. Not because of money, not because of doctors, but because love walked through their door and refused to leave. And from that day on, nobody in that home ever felt alone again.